Hello, welcome to Literarily My Way. My name is Jean, and today my focus will be on libraries. I love libraries, always have. I can remember my first grade teacher taking me to the library. Actually, it was my second grade teacher taking me to the library to get my first library card. And ever since, there are not many days that go by when I don't visit a library. Sometimes just to study, sometimes just to look around. They are very important buildings to me, great part of the community. Today, the book that I've chosen is Nia and the New Free Library, written by Ian Lendler and illustrated by Mark Pett. And it shares a story that goes like this. For as long as anyone could remember, the little town library stood there. It was there so long that people stopped paying attention. The building got old, the librarian retired, and nobody noticed. Until one day, a tornado came and carried the whole thing away. And just like that, the little town library was no more. No one quite knew what to do with the empty space where the library used to be. "We need a big skyscraper," said the builder. "That will really put the town on the map." "We need a parking lot," said the grocer. "That would really help my business." But Nia had a different idea. "We need to rebuild the library." "Rebuild it?" said the mayor. "What's the point? No one uses libraries anymore." "Rebuild it," said the banker. "That costs money, and I can't spare a dime." Who needs it?" said a distracted mom. "My son and I get everything we want online." "I'm on level 10. But Nia loved the library. She went every week to check out books. She liked cookbooks the best. Her favorite spot to read them was under the tree in front of the library. But it's hard to check out a book from a library that isn't there. That's when Nia had an idea. Ding! Light bulb goes off. She got a desk and a chair and a pencil and some paper and a plate of orange slices for energy. Then she began to write. It took her all day, but she kept writing. It took her another day too. From sunup to sundown, it took her a lot of days. And at first, nobody paid attention. Not one person. But pretty soon, she had written an entire wagon full of books. "Would you like to check out a book?" she asked the grocer. "How?" he said. "The library is gone." "This is the new free library," said Nia. The grocer was curious, so he picked up the book on the top of the pile and began to read. "There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. She lived in a shoe. P.U." "Hey," said the grocer, "you wrote this wrong." "I did?" said Nia. "Well, maybe you can fix it." She handed the grocer a pencil, and the grocer started to write. "Excuse me," said the distracted mom. My son's phone just died. Could he look at one of your books?" Of course, said Dia. This is the new free library. He can read any book he likes. This one is about Sir Wilbur, the bravest, most handsome knight around. This is terrible, said the boy. I can draw better than that. You're probably right, said Nia. Maybe you can fix it. And they made more books. More townspeople became curious and stopped to look. The town's detective saw the crowd forming and came over to see if there was any trouble. She picked up a book. This was my favorite book growing up. And this book is the reason I fell in love with the sea, said the boat captain. Look at all those people inspired. But as they read, everybody noticed mistakes. "Arr," said the boat captain. "Where the mouth things roam, that's not the title." "And that's not how Sherlock solved the crime," said the detective. Every time, Nia simply said, "Oh well, maybe you can fix it." And she handed them a pencil. Pretty soon, half the town was riding alongside Nia. "What you think? I've never built a horseshoe before." "How are the sketches going?" "I'm on page 10. Everyone discovered the job was a lot harder than it looked. "And that's how he solved the crime," said the detective. "You're wrong. That clue was a red herring. There was a fish in the story? I'm confused." But they began to remember words and ideas that had inspired them. Like hopes springing high, still I rise. I love poems about bread. Pretty soon there was enormous piles of freshly written books, books of adventure and poetry, and filled with every idea ever imagined. There were so many books that they spilled into the road and stopped traffic. Said Nia. "If only there was some better way to organize them." Look how they have piled up and fallen over. Lucky they haven't fallen on her. I've got empty crates we could use as shelves," said the grocer. "If it rains, the books will get wet," said the builder. "I'll make some walls and a roof to protect them." "And we'll need lions," said the banker. "A good library has to have lions in front. I'll get the 2 from my bank." Can you see what's happening? Can you see that how involved they are? Pretty soon, the entire town was lending a hand. There were people writing and drawing and binding and building and sorting and stacking and slicing oranges for energy. "What we need is an opening ceremony," said the mayor. Did you see what they were building? Did you catch that? What did they say they did not need? You're really smart. You caught on to that. So the mayor fetched her shiniest ribbon and her biggest scissors and her fanciest outfit, and she was just about to cut the ribbon so the crowd could shout, "Hooray!" when Nia said, "Wait! We forgot one thing." "We did?" said the builder. "We did," said the banker. "We have a library," said Nia, "but we don't have a librarian." "Oh!" The mayor looked around. "Does anyone here want to be a librarian?" Look at all the hands going. "That should fix it," said Nia. Then the mayor cut the ribbon and the whole town shouted, "Hooray!" And Little Town's new free library was open. Look at that. How everyone was involved. Everyone crowded into the library, I mean everyone, to admire what they had accomplished. "I decided to go for a classic field for watercolors," said the little boy still drawing at the table. There were kids in beanbags reading, picture books, kids with pencils writing new books. In one corner there was a knitting class. In another, all the grandparents were learning to use a computer. Everywhere there were people sitting together, enjoying the cozy quiet of a book-filled place. And this book reminds me of one of my favorite local libraries because there are always classes going on, computer classes for people, art classes, learning centers, story times. It's much like this here. Meanwhile, Nia did what she had wanted to do from the very beginning. She quietly walked straight to her favorite section and checked out, what was her favorite section? You got it right, the cookbook section. And checked out her favorite book. And she sat down to read in her favorite spot underneath the library tree. At least she did until the tornado came back and carried the school away. The end. And again, this is Nia and the New Free Library. And in the back, the author actually has a note which says, "When I was little, my grandfather told me that he hated the old library in our town. It was too small, too dark. There wasn't enough room for people to meet. There were not enough books. He wanted our town to have a library that was open and full of light, where kids could have their own section to make noise, where people could enjoy as many books as they liked. And my grandfather was a lawyer, so he got the town to agree to a plan. He got all the permits and raised the money to build it. The day of the opening ceremony for the new library, I was the proudest kid in town. There was a big party, and I went around telling everyone that my grandfather had built the library. Then I met the son of the head librarian. He was walking around telling everyone that his mother had picked all the books on the shelves, the art on the walls, and the chairs and tables. He told everyone that his mother had built the library. Then I met the builder's daughter. She told everyone that her dad had built the library. He had poured the cement foundation and had laid down all the bricks. That's when I noticed that every brick on the path that led to the entrance of the building was engraved with the name of a family who had donated time, love, and money to get the job done. That's when I realized a library is an expression of a town and all the people who lived in it. A library is built by many hands, and that was written by author Ian Lindler. Thank you again for stopping by, and thank you for supporting Literally My Way.